Alright, so my question is, how does the economy and culture affect the mental health of immigrants and minorities? First of all, we have to understand, how do these topics relate? We can see that the immigrants and the civil rights movement both deal with inequality. They both affect the mental health of minorities as well, such as increased suicide rates, depression, PTSD, and a lot of other mental health diseases. And we can also see that immigration and the civil rights, at the time they were the highest, so the 60s for the civil rights, and then pretty much now for immigration, were widely put down and squashed by Americans who oppose the views of the minorities. We have to understand the mental health of immigrants and minorities as well. From the British Journal of Psychiatry, which is a very reputable source, considering that they talk about a lot of different topics and are always peer-reviewed and very nice, they say that research suggests that asylum seekers and displaced persons worldwide report high rates of pre-migration trauma and therefore trauma-related mental health problems. Overall, the mental health of immigrants and minorities has worsened over the years, and this could be caused by racism and by Trump really putting them in detention camps. You can actually see one if you go back right there, that's one of the detention camps. And this can contribute to depression, anxiety, and PTSD, like I said before, and this is especially prevalent in children. Minorities in general do go through racism and inequality throughout their lives, and this goes hand in hand with immigration and plays a big role in mental health. For culture, economics, history, social differences definitely go into it. Joseph Rosselli, who authors The Spatial Differences of Mental Health, says that, however, it is important to take into account the uniqueness of a place, its industrial composition, social relations, culture, and history, which not only influences physical accessibility to employment, but also shapes gendered and racialized meanings of work and social accessibility to jobs. Culture, such as employment rates for minorities and the ability to find a job, does affect mental health. People who do not have jobs / are unemployed tend to go into a downward spiral of depression and other mental health diseases, and are very much more likely to commit suicide. Bob Dylan, a popular singer-songwriter, he really talks about world peace and really goes for that kind of route, says in his song Blowin' in the Wind, and how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The civil rights movement, as he was talking about here, led to a lot of white people turning their heads at the violence and inequality throughout the U.S. This, of course, affects mental health. African Americans were more likely to be diagnosed with depression, PTSD, and other mental health diseases. Some people may say that the wage gap between whites and people of color doesn't exist. It does. A study done by G. Coleman of Pennsylvania University, a professor of social studies, states many of the Chicago employers they surveyed openly discriminated against blacks, and workers in the inner city employers show high rates of negative attitudes about young black men. They're basically admitting that they were racist towards them. And another one is that white people are not privileged. Yes, they are. In a white-dominated community, naturally, such as America, they're naturally privileged, getting better schooling, better jobs, and a better mentality for success. This is, of course, not true for all, but white people in a white-dominated profession, life, or community naturally get the privilege of being the first to do basically everything. Solutions, some already implemented ones, are discrimination laws in the workplace and minimum wage laws. Possible solutions to further equality within minorities is equal opportunities for everyone. This is the opposite of a capitalist movement, which is what America values, and the idea of hard work equals success. This could be shot down by politicians who don't agree with capitalism, or citizens who also don't agree with that type of laws. This will also take a lot of time to complete and change the laws in general. Another solution is equal mental health opportunities. Minorities in general are not inclined to go to the doctor, or in fear of ICE for immigrants, or in fear of racism, which has actually happened in doctors' offices before. This could be from unemployment or insurance as well, and it could be hard to change because of insurance and because of the long process of changing laws. We as a community must ensure equality throughout our lives, whether this be by creating new laws or making sure there is equal opportunity for people of color to get mental health services. We must also find a way to economically find equality so that the mental health of minorities can fix itself. Laws and mental health equality are the solutions to this problem. After all, if the government can't fix this problem, what problem can they fix?
Okay, a couple of questions for you. The first one is...
Can I show my works cited first?
Oh, yeah.
Bibliography and then images.
Great, thank you. How did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process? And did your research go in a different direction than you had originally planned or hypothesized?
Originally, I was just focusing on immigration, and then I was like, well, I need to put Bob Dylan in this because I really liked his song personally. And so I was like, I could focus on both of them at the same time, and it really kind of worked together because they both had kind of the same values. And then what was the second part?
Did your research go in a different direction than you had originally planned?
It obviously did. I was focusing more on immigration and more on people of color. They both kind of delved off into their two things, but it really came back together into a centralized kind of thesis.
Good. And then your second question is, if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct related to the issue?
Honestly, I probably would be more specific on like gender, because gender does play a role as well in immigration and the civil rights movement. And I really thought that could have been a great like little lens or little perspective that I could have put in the question.